A few years ago, I found myself stuck in a rut. I wasn't seeing any progress in the goals I cared about. It felt like no matter how hard I pushed, I wasn't moving forward. Honestly, I was frustrated. Then, I stumbled across this idea that changed everything for me. Focusing on just 1% improvement every day. It started one morning at the gym. I was frustrated with how little progress I'd made on my strength goals. A trainer noticed me and came over. He said, "Don't try to lift heavier overnight. Add just a little more weight each week, even if it's only 1%. It adds up." At first, I was skeptical. I mean, 1%? How much of a difference could that make? But I gave it a shot. Instead of going all out and burning myself out, I added a tiny improvement every week. A slightly heavier lift here, an extra rep there. Over time, I started noticing changes, not just in the weight I could lift, but in how I approached everything. I started applying the same principle to other areas of my life. Instead of trying to completely overhaul my schedule, I improved one small habit at a time. I focused on reading for just 5 minutes longer each day. I set aside an extra 10 minutes for deep work at my job. Slowly but surely, these tiny changes began to stack up. Looking back, it's wild how such small adjustments could lead to such significant results. The 1% rule taught me that progress doesn't come from massive leaps but from consistent, small steps. It's not glamorous, but it works. And that's what I want to share with you in this video, how you can use the same principle to achieve extraordinary results, no matter where you're starting. Chapter 1. Understanding the 1% rule. The 1% rule is simple. Focus on making small, consistent improvements every day, and over time, those tiny changes compound into significant results. It's not about drastic transformations overnight. It's about patience, persistence, and trust in the process. Let me break it down for you with an example from my own life. When I first started working on my fitness, I wanted immediate results. I'd push too hard, try extreme diets, and end up burning out. But when I shifted my focus to small, sustainable habits, like adding just one extra push-up a week or drinking one more glass of water daily, it became manageable. Within a few months, the progress was undeniable. Imagine improving by just 1% every day for a year. Mathematically, that's a 37x improvement over 365 days. Small actions compound over time, just like interest in a savings account. This is why consistency beats intensity in the long run. For example, I started with a single paragraph of journaling each night. It didn't seem like much, but after a year, I had a detailed record of my thoughts, goals, and progress. That small habit gave me clarity and direction. Your brain loves repetition. When you start small, it doesn't feel overwhelmed, making it easier to stay consistent. Neuroscientific research shows that habits form when the brain's basal ganglia activate during repeated actions. Starting small ensures your brain isn't overloaded, increasing the likelihood of sticking to the habit. For instance, instead of reading a whole book in one sitting, I'd read just one page. Over time, my brain got used to the routine, and now I read several books a month without stress. Big goals often feel intimidating. When you focus on small, incremental steps, you bypass the mental resistance that holds you back. This approach is less about motivation and more about reducing friction. Think about writing. I used to procrastinate on big projects because they felt overwhelming. So, I started setting a timer for 5 minutes and told myself, just write one sentence. That simple act broke the resistance, and before I knew it, I was writing entire pages. Small wins create momentum. When you see progress, no matter how tiny, it motivates you to keep going. It's a psychological boost that builds confidence. I remember when I wanted to improve my savings. I started by setting aside just $1 a day. At first, it felt insignificant, but watching my savings grow over weeks and months gave me a sense of accomplishment. That momentum pushed me to increase my contributions. The 1% rule teaches you to focus on one thing at a time. Spreading yourself too thin dilutes your effort. By concentrating on improving just one aspect of your life, you channel your energy effectively. For me, it was my health. Once I nailed my fitness routine, I moved on to nutrition. After that, I tackled my sleep schedule. Each improvement built on the last, creating a domino effect. The 1% rule is a long game. It's about building habits that last rather than chasing quick fixes. When you adopt this mindset, you stop worrying about immediate results and focus on sustainable growth. For example, when I started practicing mindfulness, I set a goal of just 1 minute of meditation daily. Over time, that 1 minute became 5, then 10. Years later, mindfulness is a core part of my routine, helping me stay grounded and focused. The 1% rule works because it simplifies progress into manageable steps. It's backed by science, builds momentum, and reduces lose resistance. Whether you want to improve your health, career, or relationships, this principle applies universally. The key is consistency, because small actions, repeated daily, lead to extraordinary outcomes over time. Chapter 2. Applying the 1% rule in everyday life. Now that we understand the power of the 1% rule, let's explore how to apply it in practical, everyday scenarios. This isn't just a theory, it's something I've actively used to improve multiple areas of my life. Here's how I've applied the 1% rule in 10 specific ways, and how you can do the same. When I started my fitness journey, I didn't aim to lift heavy weights or run a marathon. I focused on adding just one extra push-up or one extra squat each week. Over time, those small gains built strength and confidence. Your action: choose one exercise and aim for a small, manageable increase every week, be it an extra rep, an extra minute, or a slightly heavier weight. Instead of overhauling my diet, I made one small change at a time, switching soda for water, or adding a vegetable to my meals. These tiny adjustments gradually transformed my eating habits. Your action: swap one unhealthy item for a healthier alternative each day. For instance, replace a snack with a fruit, or choose whole grain options over refined carbs. When I wanted to save money, I didn't aim for big cuts in my budget. I started by saving just $1 a day. That simple habit grew into a robust savings plan over time. Your action: start a daily savings jar, or use an app to round up your purchases and save the difference. Improving relationships doesn't require grand gestures. I started by offering one genuine compliment or act of kindness daily, whether it was thanking someone or sending a thoughtful message. Your action: every day, make an effort to show appreciation or kindness to someone, even if it's a small act like smiling or saying thank you. I always wanted to read more, but long books felt daunting, so I committed to reading just one page a day. That simple habit turned me into a consistent reader over time. Your action: pick up a book or article and read one page today. Gradually increase as it becomes a habit. Shifting my mindset started with replacing one negative thought daily. I'd write down a positive affirmation or reflect on one thing I was grateful for. Your action: write down one positive thought or affirmation every morning, such as, I am capable of growing and improving. To organize my day, I started by planning just one priority task each morning. Completing that task gave me a sense of accomplishment and clarity. Your action: identify one important task for the day and focus on completing it before anything else. Hydration seemed simple, but it was something I often overlooked. I began drinking one additional glass of water daily, which improved my energy and focus. Your action: commit to drinking one more glass of water than usual today. Use a refillable bottle to track your progress. When learning a new skill, like playing the guitar or improving public speaking, I practiced for just 5 minutes a day. That consistency eventually turned into a solid routine. Your action: pick a skill and dedicate 5 minutes daily to practicing it, whether it's writing, cooking, or coding. My home used to feel cluttered, and the thought of organizing it all was overwhelming. I started by decluttering one drawer or one shelf at a time. Over weeks, my space felt completely transformed. Your action: choose one small area to tidy today, like a desk drawer or your inbox. Science backs the effectiveness of small actions. Behavioral psychologists call it chunking, breaking large goals into bite-sized steps. Each step triggers a dopamine release in the brain, rewarding you for progress and motivating you to continue. The beauty of the 1% rule is its simplicity. By focusing on one small improvement, you reduce overwhelm, build momentum, and create a positive ripple effect across all areas of your life. Applying the 1% rule is about finding small, manageable actions that fit into your daily routine. Whether it's fitness, finances, relationships, or mindset, tiny improvements compound into life-changing results over time. The key is consistency. You don't need to see immediate results. Trust the process and stay committed to those small, daily actions. Eventually, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Because once you start, the compounding power keeps you going. Chapter 3. Overcoming barriers to consistency. Even when you understand the power of the 1% rule, staying consistent can be a challenge. I've experienced it firsthand. There were days I felt unmotivated, overwhelmed, or doubted whether these small actions were even worth it. But I learned that the key to success isn't avoiding these obstacles, it's knowing how to overcome them. Motivation comes and goes. I realized early on that relying on it was a mistake. Instead, I focused on building habits. For example, when I didn't feel like exercising, I'd still show up for just 5 minutes. Solution: create a routine that makes action automatic. Tie new habits to existing ones, like stretching while your coffee brews, or journaling right before bed. We live in a culture of instant gratification, and I used to feel frustrated when I didn't see quick progress. But then I reminded myself of the long-term payoff. Progress, even when slow, is still progress. Solution: track your small wins. I kept a journal to record even the tiniest improvements, like running an extra minute or saving an extra $1. Seeing these small victories kept me motivated. Sometimes I'd bite off more than I could chew, trying to improve too many things at once. This led to burnout and quitting altogether. Solution: simplify your goals. Focus on 1 or 2 areas at a time. It's better to fully commit to small changes than spread yourself too thin. I've hesitated to take action because I feared failing, but I've learned to reframe failure as part of the learning process. Each setback taught me valuable lessons and made me stronger. Solution: embrace failure as feedback. When something doesn't work out, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Then adjust and keep moving forward. My inner critic used to be loud, constantly questioning if I was capable or worthy of success. This voice can sabotage progress if you let it. Solution: counter negative thoughts with affirmations. I wrote down phrases like, "I'm improving every day," and repeated them whenever doubts crept in. Over time, these positive affirmations silenced the inner critic. When I didn't have anyone checking in on me, it was easy to skip a day or two and then lose momentum altogether. Solution: find an accountability partner. Whether it's a friend, coach, or even an online community, sharing your goals with someone helps you stay committed. I joined a fitness group, and the encouragement I received kept me on track. Staying consistent with the 1% rule requires more than just good intentions. You need strategies to overcome common obstacles like lack of motivation, impatience, or fear of failure. Remember, the journey won't always be smooth. Some days will feel harder than others, but the key is persistence. Every small step, no matter how insignificant it seems, brings you closer to your goals. If you're facing setbacks, don't give up. Adjust your approach, focus on small wins, and remind yourself where you started. Over time, these tiny actions will compound, leading to massive results. Are you ready to commit to your 1% today? Because the only thing standing between you and progress is the decision to keep going. The 1% rule taught me one of the most valuable lessons in life. Big changes don't happen overnight. They're the result of small, consistent actions that compound over time. When I first started applying this principle, I doubted its effectiveness. I questioned whether small actions, like writing a single paragraph a day or spending 5 extra minutes exercising, could make a difference. But now, looking back, I see how those tiny efforts stack up to create results I never thought possible. The 1% rule is simple, but it's not always easy. It requires patience, persistence, and trust in the process. But the beauty of it is that anyone can start, no matter where you are in life, no matter your goals.